All right, guys. So far we've been trading in the range of the 1030 trading strategy. Just looking to pick a direction. Something we kind of need to be cognizant of is the fact we're selling off this week. I just made a post on Twitter saying that we need a broad market rally in the next 2 trading days. And I do believe that. Um, on top of that, we need to be reminded that no stocks that we're in should break last week's pivot low. You got to let's acknowledge that the index has just rallied 8 and 10%, right? So if they rallied 8 and 10%, what the heck is our names doing making lower lows in August? Right? That's not a good look. So just be mindful of that. So far, Nvidia's bearish below 233, 232 is playing out. It's down negative 2.6%. It actually just breached this low a little bit, so we'll see what happens here. That's a couple days of demand, right? And now we've just broken that low, so just be mindful of that. Let's see if we see anything else. There you go. We are at ascending support of the BS indicator. So we'll see what happens here, if it breaks down or if it finds support. You can see that each time found a little bit of a rally at these support levels. So if it finds support here, we could find support in the broader market. If it starts breaking down, it's to assume that it's probably going to take the market down with it. Same thing with AMD. It's in the, quad resistance with the supply band. So we're looking at AMD, seeing a lot of weakness here. There's a head and shoulders on the hourly chart, and there is ascending support right here as well. So let's be mindful of that. AMD also found support at each of those bottoms, for a multi-dollar move. So just be aware. We got to see what's going on here. Then I believe Tesla is another one, right? Here's Tesla currently rejecting the descending resistance. All right. So those three names alone tell us a lot, right? Those three names alone are telling us a lot, right? We're sitting at a very strong inflection point. You can see that these support levels created a intraday rally each time. So we got to see what happens here. But those three names are showing a lot. We kind of got triple resistance here with Microsoft. Let's see if we got anything with SpaceX. This is the pivot high, and then there's another pivot high here. So we're just kind of like sitting at resistance. AMD. Now is just literally doing the damn thing after making that post. Kind of making lower lows here. Let's see what we got here. This is some type of SR flip. And Amazon's trying to rally here, but a break under this, and you can see what can happen, right? Break under, sell off. Look at these resistances, guys. Micro top, real top. Is it a real top or is it a micro top? The BS indicator showing a lot of resistance. We really got to flip these levels. Micro top on Apple, micro top on Apple, big top on Apple, micro top on Apple. We're kind of breaking above it. Let's see what happens here. Let's kind of do this and then set up an alert just in case. All of these rejections on Meta, micro top, big top, micro top, starting to reject. This is a big supply zone too. If it was going to reject somewhere, it would be like right here. Meta is bearish until over 612. Inverse head and shoulders though, in case it does break out. So what do? We just draw a little something, right? Draw one above, draw one under. Target's just doing the damn thing. Oracle's trying to break out of this descending. Since what price level? 230. If it can break out of this, otherwise it's at risk of a sell-off here. So what do we do? Charles descending. What else we got? Netflix, just literally grinding it out. This was a major top. This was a top. So we could rally here, right? Let's see what we got here. Topping process, top all the way back to June. That's not that far, 2 months. So I think we can get up to the supply zone, which is exactly what I have leveled, right? Make a little higher high, get everyone bullish. Probably get up here and start showing weakness. What else we got? JD's just doing it, man. JD, look at this, guys. Buy algo engage, huh? Trading channel. Let's go ahead and draw this. Put an alert there. We have a top right here on Neo. It needs to break above it. We got with Baba. Possible double top here. I would trim this, guys. You know, it's making a higher high here. That looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my opinion. Filled that gap, filled that gap. Let's see what we got here. Kind of rally we looking at from the absolute low. So we've currently broken the first rally that I said would rally, right? Oh, this is what we actually need to look at. Whoopsie. There you go. We need to pay attention to that. This could be real. Let's see what happens. That's actually pretty bullish. Let's see it with how the day closes. You know, if it closes red and we get a little bit of a nasty sell-off into the close, then that will curl downward, which shows rejection. Okay. Look at this. Lulu is just grinding it out. Dips get bought on this, I'm telling you. We could sell off, but I think the dips get bought here. I think it perseveres. We got a couple resistance points is on Nike. I think it's just grinding out its bottom. MAR broke below all the support levels that have created every bottom on the downtrend. That's bearish. Next one is this one. Can look for a probable bottom there. MSTR. Got that hard rejection so far. Broke yesterday's Friday's low. I said to trim there on Friday. Hopefully you guys did. Breaking the ascending support on HUT. That thing, I called it at 120. It's literally all the way back down here. And that's a head and shoulders, guys. Look at this. It's It's playing some games. That's a big head and shoulders. A little nasty drop down to 60. You could probably take like September $65 calls and probably like 60 cents and just buy like one just in case it actually does dump. Iran, it's trying to bottom here. You can see that it's created some lows here. Little inverse head and shoulders look. Got to see how the market reacts. You know, this is what I'm looking at right here. Riot did a bottom. Is this fast forward like right here, and then we just sell off for a couple months? We could. All right. Maybe draw this ascending support here, so we can kind of like see the defined weakness. Should see higher highs, but maybe not. Here's an attempt at an SR flip. You can see that it was resistance, and then it broke above, and it flipped into support. We got here, starting to see Microsoft sell off. It's down 1%, 1.5%. Let's see here. The SR flips are doing their job. Let's see what they look like on the hourlies. There you go. That's a sign right there, in my opinion. I think this is. I think this rejects lower into the close. You guys see this? These two hourly candles right here rallied into the SR flip of the trend cloud and rejected. Now we have a structured zone here. I think we sell off a little bit into the end of the day. We're still holding the QQQ puts. Where are we at? Probably like 25%, 21%. It's a little head and shoulders on QQQ. Starting to show a little bit. So I was thinking we could drop down to like 718, 719. That'd be a fair drop. But SPY, like what's that ratio there? Because SPY needs to like literally at least come down here a little bit. Like what's the measured move here? The measured move is, let me make sure that's what that is. Yep, that is a wick candle. We're looking at 766. So if it's a 0.8% drop, we're looking at probably a 1.5% drop on QQQ from here. What's a 1.5 at least? 1.5, so a double bottom. Yeah, I could see that. You can see the trend right now is the blue line. Let's see if we reject here. Do we have any trend here? No, just the purple one. Microsoft's actually starting to melt, guys. See this? Let's go ahead and zoom out on Microsoft and see what we're dealing with. We are in those puts for Friday. So what we're looking at, right? This ascending, this is our flip. Ascending, supported, broke below, rode it, broke under it, back test it. Now we're selling off. Rejecting the supply zone or a double top. Now we're rejecting the breakdown. So this is no longer supply. Let's get our volume out so we can draw up some demand zones. Demand zone, that is, but that back tested already. Real demand zone is probably right here. It's 488. What kind of drop is that from here? 3%, that's not much. That's not asking for much, you know what I mean? Demand zone here. This one's already been tapped. This one's untapped. This one's untapped. There's actually one right here too. So essentially first target is 487, second target is 467. I think in order for BABA to go red on the day or sell off like that, there has to be some type of news. Got an alert for the VIX breakout, guys. You guys see that? Let's take a look. Nothing really here. Let's go to the hourly actually. Let's go to the VIX one. Yeah, that's a breakout. First major supply is right here. We're looking at 3% move. That's not much. There's another one literally right above it. And then this one too. There's a lot of supply just sitting up here. It's a lot of work to get through, which probably means volatility, right? It's like up, down, just staircase upwards if we were to get bearish. Oh, SPY broke that descending resistance. QQQ as well. Have to see. So far, it's just trading in the range. You know, people are looking for directional moves. You could just shorted the middle or the top and then went long at the bottom yet again. But since the open or since it's 12:30, it's higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher low. Right. But we did break the 1030 over here. Did we break the 1030 over here? We did not. SPY actually made a lower low. That's interesting. Okay. SPY made the lower low before QQQ. Now we just need to see if there's a rejection here. And this is just kind of like a back test of the 1030 strategy. Let's see. It's really holding on to that 5 minute. Let's see about QQQ. It's under it, starting to break. I think it's going to become resistance. The time to DCA Bitcoin is under the 200-week moving average. You could essentially start if you wanted. I mean, you're not too far away from it, but as of right now, I'm still looking at this area to be a buy zone, right? You can even see we're breaking the channel, the trading channel, right? Could up here too. But essentially lower high, lower high. But I was really looking for this area to be a bottom. So we'll see how this is working. This is a major resistance line. I believe it's the 20-day moving average, maybe. I'd have to pull up my stuff. No, it is the 20-week moving average. You can see it was previous resistance. So it's still, until we clear this level, which we're getting pushed down on. Did I say 2100? Yeah, 2050. Until we break above this, this is literally looking like this. Do you guys see that? Bear flag, consolidation, rejection, boom. I'll actually go ahead and draw that up. Okay, got a little knife drop rejection on the previous 5-minute candle. Resetting that rally attempt. Essentially, when you zoom out, guys, on the indexes, you know, moves like this, they can't retrace deep. So there needs to be a trading range up here and then a breakout. You know, something like here. Right? You can see some sideways trading or sideways trading and then eventually a breakout. Sideways trading, then a breakout. Sideways trading and a breakout. Now look at this. Watch this, guys. I told you after a parabolic move, it's less than 2%, typically between a 1.3 and a 1.7% downside. Let's test this. So this one was 2%, right? I don't know. Let's do this one. 0.75, 1.44. 1.3, 2.4. But that's near the top, right? When it was already starting to really base out. But right as a parabolic move happens, typically the retracements are pretty short. This was a little confusion here, but once we got above this, what's this drop? This is when the VIX was like really high too. 2.5, little abnormal. 2.1. This one's gonna be big, 3.3. But during this time, the VIX was literally over 20 still. Here's another one, another parabolic rally. After a huge upward thrust, what's the downside of this? 1.2. Here, 1.1. Here, 1.6. But by then, I mean, you're up, the indexes are up 15%. Yeah. So it starts getting a little choppy. But on like the first dip shouldn't be that deep. So we need to see some strength here. We can't see too much weakness. So what I'm struggling with right now, Rudy, is did it already happen? So it's kind of, we're chopping here and we're starting to see weakness. So it's like, did this already play out? Okay, so look at this, right? It's been following the algorithm for over a year. The pivot tree is pretty solid. You can see that we have a lower high here. And we're running out of room, right? So this is technically kind of saying where it topped out. We could maybe do over here, and then it's like, okay, maybe there's a rally. But we're going in this like little 10-day window where it's supposed to be rallying, and we're seeing weakness, which is why I said we have 2 days to start a rally. Otherwise, I think this might be a bull trap. We need to really start to see names pick up and reverse. It's probably going to be around CPI if you think about it, right? What do we got this week? I think it's CPI and PPI. Inflation, Wednesday. PPI, Thursday. This is the biggest issue, right? People were hip arraying inflation. They're like, oh, we beat expectations, right? Like that's what they did. They're like, oh, we beat expectations, but it's a scam because people aren't looking at the trends, right? Like so last month we did beat expectations, but are we still higher than the rest of the year except 2 months? Yes, we are. Right? It's not like it's a complete reset. Like the inflation is still there, the trend is still up. It just doesn't go up in a straight line. Same thing with even with core, right? Which is the one that they mainly look at. So it's what we have to keep an eye on. see what's going on. You know, if we sell off, this is what I'm looking for, the BS indicator. Short-term rally, short-term rally, short-term rally, the actual rally. But the algorithm I'm hoping breaks, because look at this, guys. It shows a downtrend until mid of 2027. Could this be a top, a major top? This could be. The easiest, most obvious thing that we need to look at is my conspiracy chart right here. Right? Oh, that's actually really nice to see, guys. You guys see this? This is a break above and consolidating outside of it. So we'll see what happens there. But essentially, we cannot break under this level, right? We just accepted it into this channel. We broke below it, and now we're either backtesting it to go higher into the next channel or not. So what is this on QQQ? QQQ, in my opinion, cannot break under a 5% drawdown. So let's go see what QQQ's drawdown of 5% from right now is. QQQ cannot break under 685. Oh, look at that. I already have the level marked for us. So we have to be bullish. We need to keep tight stops on our long positions, on our swing positions. We trade the intraday market and try to make something out of it on our day trading account. But, you know, I'm telling people to trim where they need to trim. We bought MSTR at the low. It rallied 8%. We trimmed it. We're trimming Alibaba. It's up 16%, actually like 18% from that last week's purchase. Nike's kind of building out a new low. We bought it 15% ago, sold it, bought it back. Neo's trying to do a little something. It's up like 6% from the bottom end of its buy zone. So the indicators, the market's just showing a lot of confusion right now, and they're probably looking for like the next major data point or what Trump does. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Iran just said that Hamas will never be back to the way it was pre-war. After literally all last week, Trump's like, yeah, we got a deal worked out. So if you made money in the swing accounts last week, with or without us, trim your positions. Don't be greedy. Up here, you shouldn't be 100% into the market. You should be, you know, lowering your risk. You know, if you're buying something at a lower price, make sure you trim something that's really up. Don't be fully positioned into the market after the index has rallied 10%. All eyes on VIX once again, right? It's in a 3-year ascending support. Now, I will say, guys, even though this wasn't a top, and neither was this, just so you guys know, even though like there was a lot of this being shown this weekend, which kind of almost makes me think the market will rally. But it needs to happen in the next 2 trading days. But for the most part, these 2 bottoms were not market tops. The market rallied after, like I'll show you. So this one actually, right here. Okay, so it spiked and it rallied for 3 days while it did it. And then it trapped you guys. And then it broke lower. And then this one, literally sideways for a week and a half. Over here, literally uptrend. It did they drop? Yeah, we dropped, you know, 2%, 3%, 2%, 2%. You know, it did drop, but it literally rallied all for how long is that? 2 months? Right? Before it even had this big drop, which wasn't even that nasty. But it's not guaranteed. Here's another one. When it hit this bottom, we literally rallied and traded sideways. Dips got bought for That's December. It didn't really sell off till like January, February. So 2 months is it traded sideways. So it's a cause for concern, but it's not like, oh, the market's just going to straight up crash from here. We need to have our get out levels, you know, bullish, but have an exit strategy. And that's what we have. You know, if you guys bought the SpaceX dip, make sure you trim it. You know, don't ride it freaking 22% in 2 days and think that it can't pull back. Second hourly candle rejecting, guys. About to break that low. Looking like a back test of the 1030 strategy. Let's see if it gives up the purple line. $230 is often a bottom attempt. Just be mindful of that. We just hit it. Microsoft is also at 56% retracement. VIX futures trying to break out further. So both are forecasting to be lower than last month. If that comes in and it beats, then that would be bullish, which could be the bottom of the market. If we could get a sell off like right here, I would think that the market gaps up tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do it overnight though. They keep playing games like that. 71860. I did. I already updated them OR and talked about them here. Essentially, they're looking pretty weak, and no name should break last week's pivot low. Right. So if we're looking at that, I think Mara already did. Mara broke last week's pivot low. Right. So you got to be aware of that. Be careful. It is, however, like right near the support level. Let's see if there's something in the overnight. Let's check 24 hours just to make sure. Yeah, so it's already knifing through that, and that's a head and shoulders. So I'm thinking at minimum we see 78% retracement. There's a sell channel here. It could literally just drop down here by Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is low eights. That's down here. I realistically did not want to see this. That is a supply zone in a very low area. This is a demand zone. So let's see what it does. But that's no bueno. I can tell you that. Could go deeper into this demand zone down to the $5 range if we've like literally hit a bear market here. Trump is talking at 2:45. Signing an executive order. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see what the heck's going on here. They're messing up their live. At least I'm not the only one that sucks at this. They just turn it off and back on multiple times. God, this is giving me PTSD when he did the tariff. The liberation. This could very much cause a directional move in the market, guys. Whatever he's about to do. Be mindful of that. The market could look completely different by the end of the day. Oh wow, big earthquake in Colombia. 69 people dead. 7.4. I'm pretty sure that's really big. $2,500 earthquakes per month? What? Okay. Okay, not too crazy. Unfortunate for them. Hopefully everyone's okay. The fuck is that? Okay. $773.21. Okay. Wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't shoot up to this purple line, which is hidden under this 773.34. Kind of impressed there's only 1,400 people watching this. All right, he's up. It's a vaccine EO. He just called RFK small. Depending on what he says here, pharmaceutical names could rally, guys, or crash. This is a probable top, guys. See where we're going to reject right here.
said, which is the source of his concern about this issue. And I'll just give an example. In 1970, the biggest epidemiological study at that time in history was performed. And the university scientists from across this country looked at all the 8-year-olds in Wisconsin, about 900,000 children. And they were looking for autism, and they knew what autism looked like. And they came back with an incident rate of 0.8 per 10,000. So less than 1 in 10,000. The rate, according to CDC today in this country, is 1 in every 31 children. In California, it's 1 in every 19 children, 1 in every 12.5 boys. So there has been a dramatic increase. One of the things that the industry likes to say, one of the talking points, which the press loves to parrot, is, oh, we're just noticing it more. But this is an absurdity, and this is an assertion that has been debunked again and again and again by peer-reviewed literature. But it's also debunked by common sense. Because if we were just noticing it more, we would notice it in older groups. But we're not. We're only noticing it in kids who were born around 1989 or after. The older generations, you're not seeing those increases. So something happened in the mid-90s that changed our children, and it has to be an environmental exposure. Because genes don't cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability, but you need an environmental toxin. And what the president has charged us with is finding which one of those exposures or which collection of exposures are causing this epidemic. For decades, I fought for a simple principle. When it comes to the health of our children, government has an obligation to follow the evidence.
All right, guys, if you can see that the top 4 pharmaceutical companies that offer the most vaccines in America are GSK, SNY, MRK, and PFE.
Their families. Mr. President, you gave us a mandate to do just that. You directed HHS to examine America's childhood vaccine recommendations against the best available science and the practices of other developed nations. We did that work, and on January 5th, HHS and CDC overhauled the childhood immunization schedule, reducing the number of diseases universally recommended for vaccines from 17 to 11, and establishing distinct categories of recommendations based upon the scientific evidence. Our assessment found that the United States
that's a pretty good risk to reward.
More childhood vaccines
A new high?
than any other peer nation.
3%?
Trump
I mean, you don't even really need that, but that's a structure zone right there, and we broke below it. So technically, this is a supply zone.
And nobody else has anything like that. And then many other countries, or most other countries, achieve high vaccination rates through education,
resistance,
and public trust rather than mandates.
You could actually take a short here in case they're one of the companies.
And acting on that evidence.
I mean, I really don't think that they're going to rally off this news, right? So the worst case scenario is they don't rally. Or the best case scenario is they don't rally and they sell off. You hold it for literally the close for 50 minutes for them to sign these and then announce the drugs, hopefully.
At HHS, we're already moving across multiple agencies, FDA, CDC, NIH, ARPA-H, NTP, the National Toxicity Program, and other parts of the department. We have already launched unprecedented research efforts examining vaccine safety and long-term health outcomes in American children. We are putting
Pfizer's also over by
this
point in all this consolidation.
CDC's Vaccine Safety Data Link, FDA's BEST systems, and other major federal and private health data sources. We're pursuing dozens of studies and analyses. We are comparing health outcomes in vaccinated versus unvaccinated children. We're examining Illumina.
This guy's hard to listen to. Kind of looking at 272 SPY puts for end of day. For like 7 cents. Kind of want to get like a couple lottos in case we literally slam down. This is kind of past the 50%. I'm getting there. Merck Pharmaceutical is making a new intraday low. This looks like we only have like 1 or 2 more down days, and CPI causes a bottom. This is a structured zone for tomorrow, whatever way it breaks out. Now they're just talking corny stuff. They're trying to play off the emotions of people. They don't have to rationalize, just push it. Support line is the red line. You can see that plain as day, all the way from 248. Support, support, support. Have to see a break. Oh, tapped it a little bit. Let's see what happens. We don't want them to see that, guys. Just so you know. On Tesla, it was this top and this top. We gapped up the next day, but sideways and ultimately lower. It was actually the top, 440. Kind of see how this hourly candle closes. You got the SpaceX curl out of that demand zone that I warned. It is running into descending resistance though, right around this 134 level. If you have not trimmed, I would probably trim right there. Yeah, a little bit of a supply here. We'll see around that 134.50. It's kind of funny. The pharmaceutical companies are like rallying a little bit, but that could be a trick. Oh, U.S. oil up 6%. It actually just broke out. Okay, so that's where it would top. If it's going to top, it's literally right here. A fake out, breakout type stuff. God, okay, I got it. I can't watch. I can't listen to this anymore. It's getting corny for me. Excuse me. Hmm. Okay, officially started signing them. Let's see. They're asking about Iran. Oh my god. That's true. Essentially, he's talking about manufacturing in America with all these companies building their um, warehouses back in America to offset tariffs. One second, I got muted. And then essentially, what he's saying is that the next president's going to get a lot of pretty much attention or acclimates for the things he's doing now because it's such a long process. I believe that if it's done. Pretty interesting. Spies breaking down more than QQQ this time. Oh, there we go. He talks so much shit. It's funny. Be Wet tells it all. Let's take a look. Can you explain this for me, Toby? What's your thesis on this? It's a little sketchy. He said he supports Warsh's decision making. He probably shouldn't have said 100% though. All right, he just stopped. Very interesting. So he just doubled down on Kevin Warsh, saying he supports anything he does 100%, which is kind of wild. Fiddle in the middle. That's all I'm saying. You got Robinhood closing their intradays in 8 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if this literally doesn't slingshot to the top. They usually like to do that. Hmm. There's their little squeeze into the 445 so they can ruin Robinhood traders. They do it literally every single time. It's kind of funny. Sorry about that. Let's see. SpaceX squeezing up to 138 actually to the pre-market high. That's impressive. It's really good. Put her back. All right, getting a little bit of a sell off here. Let's see what happens. We got AMD selling off. Tesla's still holding its ground. Nvidia is selling off. Microsoft selling off. Microsoft almost at a new intraday low. Looks like VIX is starting to break out on the futures. I don't think we get above this pivot high here of 733.45. There it goes. There's a little knife drop. Microsoft is not good. You guys see that alert right there? Really like to see a knife drop down to like 718 in after hours. You see how they squeezed it into the Robinhood close and then knifed it after? And then they take half their trades in the overnight. They're literally targeting retail. This is all retail fighting. They're not even playing against each other anymore. They're just playing against us. That's a little. If AMD is about to knife, and so is Nvidia. There's the drop on QQQ, almost new low of day. 30 cents away from low of day. This looks like a gap down, if I had to be honest. If we keep selling off. Really, Microsoft? Microsoft just saved itself. This is a falling wedge on Microsoft, actually. It needs to sell off, or what we got here? Trying to break out. There's the Microsoft pump. Baba at new high a day. I think it's going to squeeze, bro. Oof. AMD might gap down tomorrow. You guys see this? That's a clear break. NVIDIA following suit. Like I have this pulled up. You see how it's under it? Tesla might just break away. Is SpaceX doing the same thing? No. Trying to double top right now. New lows on QQQ and SPY. I don't know if it could really drop like that in after hours. 21.21. Maybe. Quite bearish on the hourly time frame. It's weird, but okay. Neo and Baba squeezing into the close, guys. CLSK actually breaking down. All right, guys. So I'm not going to hold the QQQ put overnight. I'm going to hold the Microsoft another day. And then that's my hedge still. Currently, we're up 21% on the QQQ puts. You can close it between now and 414. AMD and NVIDIA don't look so good. And Tesla curled. Let's see what that looks like. It's not an entire breakout, but it's an idea, right? It can expand just like other resistance levels. So just be mindful of that. I'm going to stay here for a couple more minutes. See what this does after hours. I might take an overnight trade once I see something. You know, if we sell off overnight, I might take that call. Or if we rally, I might take another short. But as of right now, you guys can literally see, right? We're literally in the middle. Right? I'm thinking the bottom end of this range, and we're like barely away from the top. So the risk is to the downside, in my opinion. You could hold it if you want, but I'm not going to. If I see an opportunity overnight, I'd rather do that so that I can get rid of it overnight. But next day puts haven't been favoring me. You know, like even like Microsoft is down on the week, given we have till Friday now. But I see something on Microsoft on the hourly and the daily that looks good for us. I think it sells off pretty hard before Wednesday. All right, so I'm gonna go and get off here, guys. If you did take those QQQ puts with me overnight, just remember I'm not holding them. I will be closing them by 4:14. They're currently up 20%, so that as a day trade is a win in my book. I'll take it and look for another one later in the week. All right, guys, take care.